Sequel Podcast. I'm Matt Bonta.
Paul Sifre.
As he takes a drink of Pepsi. Product placement.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of communist drinks Pepsi and not Coke?
Patriotic one. Look, it's red, white, and blue.
This is true. It is red, white, and blue.
Yes.
Paul, what's going on? I know we've been talking to each other all day.
Yeah. It's been a very good day. You helping me out with some stuff and working with you and Corey.
We filmed a thing or two.
Yeah, filmed some stuff.
Was it fun?
It was fun.
Super fun?
It will be funner once I see it completed, because lots of the stuff that we end up filming, once you look back on it and see the finished product, you're like, hell yeah, that was a good time.
What have you been up to lately, acting-wise?
I'm doing a couple acting classes and seminars and trying to get better. And
How's
been
that
in a
working
couple.
out for you?
I'm learning a shit ton. But when you start at the bottom, you always learn a lot. Did that TV pilot. We'll see what happens with that. If nothing else, that was fun. Just got hired for a commercial.
What can you talk about? Can you talk about that? Did you sign an NDA or anything like that?
Nope.
So what did you do on that?
I was the lead SWAT person. I was supposed to be just a day player. They hired me to be the lead SWAT person. There wasn't anybody really on set that had any tactical experience. So when we were doing the SWAT team stuff and going inside a building to raid, there's a few people that have never touched a gun before or entered a place in real life or anything like that. So I soon became the tactical advisor on that day. So then started practicing. While everybody else was filming, we pulled our team aside and we practiced as if we were really raiding a warehouse. And
what were your weapons like?
We had a couple MP5s, AR-15s.
Actual guns or?
I think they're airsoft.
Okay.
I think they're airsoft ones.
Okay.
They had a guy from the Navy that was a firearms instructor, a really nice guy, that brought the guns and did the safety inspections and checks on it. He was a really cool guy. Everybody was really nice on set. But, you want to make it, if you've lived it, you want to make it realistic.
Sure.
And then one thing that you told me a long time ago, which they also said, is lots of times you can't make it realistic because it doesn't work for the camera. So lots of times, you'll have to change things up to make it work for the camera.
Right. Well, so the thing is like, how often do you watch a movie or TV or something and you're like, oh, that's so fake and bullshit? Well, sometimes, the person who's watching it, right, they say that you got to treat the audience like they're idiots, right? So everything you're doing, you do kind of have to spell it out for them, kind of have to hold their hand. And then sometimes you got to contradict yourself and be like, well, I don't want to hold the audience's hand on this, and I want to trust them to understand what the story is doing. But sometimes you do have to, put, streamers on the vent for your AC when you shoot it, so you can be like, oh, there's air coming out of there. Right. Otherwise, you're just showing a vent. You can't see air. You can't feel it if you're watching it in a movie, so you kind of got to take an extra step to make it seem more cinematic. Right, like shucking a shotgun in a movie, you're not going to do it like 50 times, but if you do that and you show it or you hear it, the audience knows what's going on.
Right.
Like shit's going to go down. Meanwhile, you should have done it prior to in preparation of busting into a building or whatever, so that you're ready to roll. But the audience isn't ready to roll until they hear that sound, whether it's right before you shoot a guy or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And, that's all stuff that you can think of and see from your experience of doing it, where somebody else that doesn't or is watching it that has experience, which, of course, is not everybody. Right. They'd be like, why are they doing that for?
Well, and then the other side of the coin is when you see something and you're like, did I miss a scene where somebody said something or did something? And it's probably because they missed that step that they should have put in, even if it seemed ridiculous or unrealistic. It's movie magic that you need, right? Yeah. It's Hollywood, as they say.
Yeah. So Just, trying to do as much as I can, get as much exposure as I can. Looking for some representation to kind of get me out there. And
Is that the only other thing that you filmed outside of something you filmed with me? Let's look at the old Paul Sifre IMDb page.
Probably. Yeah, because then I helped my kid with 2 short films.
Oh, what is this? Space Hunt?
That's yours.
Yeah, there's nothing on. So it says Not in the Dark. You played Marine. That was your first thing you did.
Yeah.
I discovered you on the side of the road, blowing people. You needed a job. So is that homophobic to say? I got to be careful, right? We got to be woke, go woke or go broke.
Yes.
And that's what you were saying on the side of the road.
Yes. Yeah. I went woke apparently, and then went broke, which is why I was on the side of the road.
Yeah. So Not in the Dark. You played the Marine, unnamed Marine. I think I gave you a name in a later script. Savage. You played Duke.
Yeah, that was a fun one. We were talking about that earlier today.
Midnight Bloodshed. You play Sheriff Booth, named after my aunt, who liked to claim that she was related to John Wilkes Booth. I don't know. Space Hunt. You play Hunter. And then Shadow Unit. That's it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
And hopefully we can do this Beach World.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun too. And we just did that read through today.
That was fun. I enjoyed doing that read through.
Yeah.
We got to figure out how to get you some tank legs. I mean, especially if you're thinking of leaving, then I guess we got to work together before you leave.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun though. That'd be a good time.
All right, so we're here to talk about acting today. And we watched some movies. So my theory was to kind of keep the conversation going for you and put some ideas in your head and things to try. And my big advice for any actors is watch what other people do. See how they do it and see what they're doing. You don't got to be the same actor that, somebody else is, but maybe try and figure out their process and add it to your repertoire. So, I lecture you on watching movies, and I'm like, here, watch all these. Yes. Sit your ass down on the couch. So, my fun little project was to maybe do a series on picking a year and watching the best actor nominees for that year. Watch those movies and kind of discuss what we liked, didn't like. So we chose 1977.
Yep.
And I believe that's the year 1977, and then the Oscars broadcast was in 1978. Okay. So all of these movies, right, were released in the year 1977. So let's go bottom up.
Okay.
Based on the Wikipedia list.
Yeah.
So John Travolta was nominated for Best Actor in Saturday Night Fever as Anthony Tony Manero. You said you've never seen any of these movies.
Never seen any of them. I've watched bits and pieces of Saturday Night Live or Saturday Night Fever, but I've never actually just sat down.
And that's one of those ones that's like is one of those blind spots for me. I've seen a gajillion movies at this point, and you would think that Saturday Night Fever is one of those popular ones that you would have seen eventually.
Yeah.
And I never got around to it. So this was the first time I've seen this.
Yeah.
One. What'd you think of the movie?
I actually enjoyed it.
It was kind of good, and I was surprised. We live in the year. This is the year 2024, mm-hmm. Right? And there's some things that people don't say or do,
right?
And this was kind of a challenging movie when I watched it a couple weeks ago, mm-hmm. Because there's one scene right up front where they're all dropping racial slurs.
Yeah, when they're walking to the dance club.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I heard that too, and I'm like, okay, this is how we're starting off.
That would not fly today. And then also like they raped the girl at the end, which was like, whoa, like this is in this movie, and kind of don't ever really talk about it afterwards.
And there's almost another scene like that where John Travolta himself.
Oh yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
Which was also kind of weird, but they did talk about that when he saw her again after that. Like,
but he was very, very pushy. Yeah.
These were some really challenging movies.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be interesting talking about them. So yeah, no, I did kind of also like the movie. I do like kind of gritty, street level kind of movies like that, where it's not so polished looking. And as we go up this list, right, like The Goodbye Girl looks kind of more polished.
Oh yeah.
More so polished than like Saturday Night Fever was.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And you know, I'm not a fan of the dancing and stuff like that, but it was really cool to see. It made the movie. It was supposed to be. That's what the movie is supposed to be about. But it was cool to see the dynamic with his family too, the Italian family.
Yeah.
And
You're from over there, right?
Yep. My family's from over there in New York, and we're all Sicilian and Italian, and so it's very similar.
Well, because his dad's like a piece of shit to him, right, all the time.
Yeah. So, and it was very interesting to watch and see.
Well,
Mom was kind of like the boss.
Well, and then he's got the brother who,
and the grandma.
Went to become a priest.
Yeah.
And then they got all real tight about that when he came home. They acted like somebody died when he came home, saying he left.
Because, you know, a lot of I can't speak for Italian families or Sicilian families that I'm not aware of, but
big
with my
Catholic.
experience, they're very big on being braggadocious with your kids' accomplishments. So, like their kid became, you know, a priest, a father, and now they get to tell everybody, and like, and then once he quits, it's like now they can't tell anybody that, and they're almost embarrassed for anybody knowing, you know. And then you know,
Tony's kind of a fuck off.
Yeah. All he does is dance. So I mean, you know what I mean?
At the hardware store.
Works at a painting store and dances, and so they never mention him. But you know, a lot of Italian families and Sicilian families, I mean, that's like you're proud of your kids and you talk them up and blah blah blah. Well, and then when they're not doing something,
and
you're like, fuck.
New York, right? It's a lot of like blue collar workers, your cop, your fireman, construction worker.
Yeah.
Like that's
Union
the manly
works.
thing to do, right?
Yeah. So
back east,
it was really cool. It was cool to see. Like I said, I enjoyed it.
Where did that movie take place?
Bronx,
Brooklyn?
No, I think it was
Manhattan, Long Island.
I think it was Manhattan, if I remember correctly.
And where are you from?
Bronx. Yeah. And my mom's side is from Long Island, so I still have some family out there, but I lost contact with everybody when I started my career
here in Nevada.
In crappy Nevada. Sorry for everybody that loves it.
So John Travolta was like the only actor I really recognized in that movie.
I recognize that girl from something. What was she in?
I think so. You've got kids. I did look her up. I think she did like a Disney show.
Okay.
Let's see, Saturday Night Fever. The which girl? The
girl that gets raped. The one that's in love with Tony.
She was in Even Stevens.
I don't even know what that is.
Sitcom Angie.
Mm-mm.
Sitcom Out of This World.
No.
Yeah, no. So she.
I don't know. She looked familiar to me, but that's it.
Yeah, no, not too much.
Do you think John Travolta was really acting in that movie? Or you think he was just being himself?
Oh, you think that was because he was the real guy?
Yeah. I'm wondering how much actual acting he did in that. I mean, it's all acting, but
right. But like, how much more did he have to put into it?
Yeah.
So John Travolta is he's from Jersey, so he was born in Jersey. So like, he's over in that New York, New Jersey area. So I mean. Yeah, it's Englewood, New Jersey, an inner ring suburb of New York City. So I mean, that was probably him. That was like his big break was that movie. Do you think he did a good job? Like,
I think he did
get nominated. Do you think it was a deserving nomination?
Yeah. For his role, 100%. Yeah.
You know what other big movie came out in 1977, right?
Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm surprised that nobody got nominated for that.
Do you think anyone did a good acting job in that movie?
I think so. Yeah.
No, they did enough for the material, but that movie was more about
The whole
big picture and
right.
everything that was going on.
I think Harrison Ford as Han Solo.
I mean, he was good in the part, but I don't think that was like an award-winning role. Like, he was cool and kind
What
of a
about
badass.
Stormtrooper number 2?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He was stoic. You could never tell when he was angry or happy or anything.
If anything, I think like C-3PO, Anthony Daniels should have gotten a nomination.
They were funny.
I did look at the list of other movies in '77 just to kind of get an idea. If maybe like, oh, I think so and so should have gotten nominated. I didn't do a deep dive or anything, but I don't know. All right, so John Travolta, you feel deserved the nomination, and he was good, and the movie was pretty good.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know how much of a stretch that was for him, but it was either he did a really good job acting, or it was just a perfect role for who he is.
Well, look, also, another thing to think about is acting isn't just what you're doing, it's also what you're doing to help everyone else around you as well, right? Because if you're not part of that team, and if you're not a good leader, and I had this conversation with people before about, like, if I have a lead actor, they need to also be leading the team of everyone else they're working with, right? And elevate all them to make them want to be a part of this. If you got a guy that's just coming in, doing what they have to do and kind of dipping, everyone else is kind of suffer, right? You've got to keep morale going, right? If you're going to be the lead of my movie, I need you to be also the leader of everyone else, right? I'm doing a million jobs trying to get this thing going and keep everyone, helping everyone as I can, right? As well as making everything look good and making them all look good. And, it's a team effort. So, like, if John Travolta was indeed like, oh, this is me, that's why I want to do this, I get this, I can do a great job at this, and how he's interacting with everyone else, like, there was definitely some good chemistry between all those people, for sure. It did feel like a very real, like, it was almost like a documentary, right?
Yeah, seriously.
The
all conversations that they had,
real,
and
like late 70s, fucking discotheque guys.
I could truly imagine, like, it would be one of those things where, like, hey, everybody, let's get together Saturday night,
right?
At Travolta's house, order some beers, have some pizza, and I'm just gonna stand back and film everything. And that's the conversations, the messing around, the stuff like that. It did come off very natural.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was great, 100%. All right. Moving on.
Let's see.
A Special Day, the Italian movie.
Yes.
You watched it.
Yes. Yes. When you sent it to me, and
you're
I
like, all I
messaged
can
you,
find is
I'm
an
like,
Italian version.
I can only find Italian versions. It's all in Italian.
It's an Italian movie.
And I'm like,
we go from New York American Italians to actual Italy during World War II.
Yes.
It was okay.
I felt it was okay.
It was fine, right? It almost plays out like a play. You just got two people talking the entire time. Another challenging movie about a gay man. You don't find out he's gay until later. But, and this was something that I kind of had an issue with on a movie that was nominated this year. God, what was it called? But it deals with the times in which the movie is set in, right? So he's like a gay man dealing with the way they were being dealt with in that period of time, in that part of the country, in that part of the world. And the acting was fine, right? There's not too much to chew on here for discussion. Like, he did a good job. Sophia Loren did a fine job too. A later Sophia Loren effort. What was this year's Academy Awards? Not this one. Radio Silence. The Zone of Interest.
Never heard of it.
It's a German film about. It's kind of a movie about the blasé nature of the way the Nazis lived, like in like a concentration camp kind of thing. Like my ignorance on what was going on in World War II. Like I know that they had concentration camps and they were killing Jewish people, but like watching the movie, because they don't outright say it, but you'll see like, oh, here's the nice German family, and the husband is like a German soldier at a concentration camp, but then they'll change an angle in the same scene, and you'll see the concentration camp in the background, and exactly like it's basically like walking across the street, right? But since I didn't really catch that when I was watching it, I didn't really get into the movie and really understand, like, okay, it's about just kind of the norm of them doing what they were doing across the street while also raising kids and being family, and there's probably more going on there, which is kind of like what this was, right? It's more about the times and the issues people were dealing with then. But yeah, so I don't know, do you have any thoughts on it?
I thought he did a good job acting.
Not so much as like, oh, because that was really him, so he had
right.
to, but he was actually had to put work into a challenging role.
Yes, and I did not realize he was gay until the end. I thought he was like
because
a Jewish
she's
sympathizer or something.
Because she's like, oh, this is I'm a housewife raising children, being a wife. And she's like, oh, my husband is like fucking whoever over here, and I get no time to myself. And you think she's obviously looks like she's trying to hook up with homeboy.
Oh God, yeah, she's trying. Yeah. It's those movies. I mean, it's really really hard for me to enjoy those movies. The movies where a married person, guy or girl, is actively seeking out somebody else in those, just because it gets me pissed off.
Sure, I get that. I get that.
So those movies are they leave a bad taste in my mouth, and then you don't want to like the character, even if they're doing a good job acting or whatever.
Right.
And that's what the script calls for. But yeah, I thought the guy did a good job acting. He threw me off, definitely. Like I said, I wasn't sure.
And his name is Marcello Mastroianni.
Yeah.
So that we say it for the record.
Yeah. He did good. It was all in black and white. The movie was, I felt easy to follow.
He was ready to kill himself, right? That's what he was setting himself up to end it all.
Yeah.
Because he had to like leave his job. He got fired from his job
because of who he was. Yeah.
And she, like, the bird got out, right? She's cleaning up the house
and lands in his place. Yeah.
And they kind of have a special day where they have somebody to talk to and get all their frustrations out, and move on to one more, like, just a little help that they needed, the kind of the hug that they needed for each other.
And backfiring, but
Sure. I mean, well, they still do it.
Yeah,
they do hook up.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, they do hook up.
Yeah, it was. It's like fine, I'll have sex with you. Just leave me. Stop bugging me.
It was a rough back and forth for those two.
Yes.
And like the nosy landlady, the gossipy landlady is trying to start some shit and everything else like that.
The thing I found interesting was that all of that spanned in a couple hours.
Right.
The entire movie spans in a couple hours.
Right. Like 6 hours or something. Because the whole family heads off to the parade because it's a monumental day in the World War II when like Hitler meets
Mussolini.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes, Mussolini came over to hang out with Hitler for a little
so
bit.
All the Italians were like happy and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it was an interesting idea, and I think that's an interesting topic to hit, especially probably back then.
Sure.
Back in '77. I don't know how often they dealt with themes of like homosexuality and stuff like that.
I think a lot more so in foreign countries and filmmakers, more so than in America, like they will make statements with their movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll watch a movie and you'll be like, oh, this is cool or good or whatever, but like the subtext for the culture in a foreign country is like what they're really discussing is like the way the government handles this or this or this. I know that we do in America also have reflective themed movies based on what's going on, but more often than not, we do have like Marvel movies, which I doubt are rarely reflecting, you know, I mean, maybe a little bit, but mostly they're action movies for kids. They're trying to make a lot of money back from those. And we do probably make more movies in America than any other country. Maybe the UK might be number 2, right? But they do tend to make more political statement movies, you know, than foreign countries and such. Do you watch a lot of foreign movies?
No.
None whatsoever?
I won't
This
say
was your
none.
first one.
I won't say none, but I don't tend to. But one of the things, like what you were talking about just now, one of the things, and I don't have the history or experience, so I couldn't say either way. But what I did like about that movie is how they handled the topic without, like I said, shoving it in your face,
Sure.
or forcing
Without
it down
preaching,
your throat.
without preaching,
yeah, or
right.
preaching that you're a bad person, or what, you know what I mean? Like I feel like some of the current, lack of better term, woke movies do now.
Oh, absolutely.
Here in America.
Like they
They're
do
let's
shove it in
toss
your
this
face,
in,
right?
let's toss this in, let's toss this in, shove it down the audience's throat. We check the boxes. We're going to be good now.
And not that these aren't important issues to be discussed and handled and dealt with and figure out. But yeah, no, there was a delicate nature to how that movie handled the topic, and it was done well, and the acting was good. Well. Just the 2 hours of just these two people talking, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it wasn't like
I wouldn't
on the edge of
watch
your
it again.
seat.
Yeah. I would not watch it again. There's nothing exciting about it, but if you're watching it for what it is, which is what we were doing,
right.
Watching it for the acting aspect of it, I felt that
the history and the education of seeing other things.
I felt he did a good job.
I'm proud of you for watching all these movies.
Yes,
by the way.
Trust me. Oh, wait till we get to the next one.
Oh well, let's see what the next. Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I even told you you're like this one's next, and I said buckle up.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what you meant.
God, this one might have been even harder to watch than the Special Day was.
That was one of the hardest movies I've ever had to watch.
Okay, let's move right along.
In so many ways.
To how did they say it? Equus? Equus? Yeah. I've always called it Equus, but in the movie they called it
Equus. I thought
Equus.
Yeah, I thought it was like a play on equestrians, like horse stuff.
Oh, equestrian. Well, right, and they even say so. Equus. Equus is the next movie, and it's based on a play.
Ugh.
It was a strange movie. And once again, Richard Burton, I think, did do a good job acting. I don't know that the movie was all that great.
I didn't like him.
You didn't like him at all?
Mm-mm.
What I felt took away from his performance was when he talked straight to the camera.
Yeah, like breaking the fourth wall.
Right, and like based on a play, you can stop and you can talk to the audience because they're there.
Right.
I don't think you need to do that when you're watching a movie. I would have cut all that out myself. I thought I did a fine job. Right. I thought I did good. He got nominated. Was this your least favorite then?
That was my least favorite. One of my least favorite movies I've ever seen.
Ooh.
It was my least favorite of the 5. And there was not one performance by anybody in that movie that I was like, good acting.
No, it was a bummer of a movie.
Yeah. Like
everyone's bummed out and upset and depressed, and even more so than the 2 miserable people in A Special Day, right? This is one of those movies where everybody is acting, and you can tell they're acting.
Oh yeah.
It's not so over the top that they're overacting, but the intensity of everybody, there's no room in there to breathe.
That's why I didn't like the guy that was nominated.
Richard Burton.
Yeah, I didn't like him because it seemed like everything he did was like yelling and aggressive,
Yes.
and the scene, in my opinion, didn't call for it.
Sure.
And I don't know. I was just lost, and I'm like, oh god, he's gonna yell at the fucking camera again. So and I don't know. It was just weird, and then obviously the cruelty to the animals at that time was probably. There's a story that goes with it.
Yeah, did you do any research? Like, I always look on Wikipedia to see what's what, but like, I guess there was, like somebody really went and blinded a bunch of horses, right? And the guy who wrote the play didn't do any research beyond that. He was just like, oh, that's interesting, and he kind of built from the ground up on like reading that incident. The play around that idea, right? Didn't look into what happened later or why or what. He created all that on his own. I don't know. The dude, the kid got naked with the horses.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like he wanted to be a horse, and it was.
You know what? Like
weird.
I know you didn't like the movie, right? Because you just said it. But it was interesting that like he hooks up with the girl, and then he like freaks out, right? Like I thought that was a very interesting emotional, psychological situation in the whole movie. Like the conflicting, like he really loved those horses.
Yeah.
They never said he banged any horses or anything like that. Which is a real thing that happened. Did you ever hear about that guy that like died because he like?
No.
Really, you never heard about? They made a documentary. This documentary.
Well, I probably avoided it intentionally.
Oh, this documentary called Zoo. I think it's called Zoo, and it's about this dude who would like get banged by horses until like.
Isn't that a show you pay for in Mexico?
The donkey show.
Oh yeah, donkey. Yeah.
No, they like. Oh my god, you never heard about this?
No.
Oh man, they filmed it like him and this. Like I think his name was Mr. Hands, right? He went by Mr. Hands, and he would show these.
Worse.
Yeah, I know. He would show these videos on like his buddy would film it, right? But like the horse. Did you ever watch like Jackass where he drinks the horse semen?
No.
You didn't see that?
I don't like Jackass.
Oh man.
I don't like the gross stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no. The horse like ruptured his insides and he died.
No.
And then they made a document like it was like
good. Darwin.
Like it brought up a whole thing about like, animal cruelty. Like he just went on somebody's like farm and like let this horse fuck him in the ass. This is terrible. I know.
Yeah.
But like, anyways, back to the movie. Like when the kid like he bangs the girl. Mm-hmm. Does he, or was he not able to?
He that's the whole reason why he.
Like he really wanted.
So
he wanted to, yeah, but and then
because he couldn't like get hard or
right,
up.
And like it fucked up his head so much to the point to where like I thought I was with these horses on this level with them, but really I'm not anymore. Mm-hmm. But now they're blocking me from having this real connection with another human being. And so he went and took the sickle and fucking blinded all the horses.
Yeah. And I think it's because they saw him.
Right. He couldn't stop seeing them seeing him because he like thought himself as a horse or whatever, and like he was riding the horse naked.
That girl was cute.
She's famous. She's from like she's a famous Australian actress. She was in American Werewolf in London.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she was cute.
She's the main chick from that.
I'm like, what is she like in that guy? He looks like the kid from Blue Lagoon, but
he does. He does.
Not as smart.
He looks like the greatest American hero.
Yeah.
No, she's also in like the Marvel movies. She was in Avengers. I know you're going to be reaching for this, but she was one of the council members that talks to Sam Jackson in Shadow. And then she's in Winter Soldier, when Scarlett Johansson pretends to be her. So it's the actress playing her, but then after she beats the shit out of like Robert Redford or whatever, or gets the one over on him, I forget, it's been a while. Like she takes off the hollow mask or whatever it was, and it's Scarlett Johansson. So that's Jenny Agutter. Like she was one of the council members in the early Marvel movies.
I'll have to check that out.
So you didn't like that movie?
Hated the movie. It was very, very painful to watch.
It was rough.
I could not wait till it was over.
Yeah.
I continuously checked my phone.
It didn't hold your attention.
I'm like,
that's fine. That's fine. Some of these movies are like that.
But made it through. And like I said, I did not like any acting. And if there was no other movies noteworthy, I would have just had 4.
Sure.
As opposed to having that guy.
Well, we'll go over the movies. Yeah. We'll go over the other 1977 movies after this. I'll go down the list. There's quite a few, but Joan Plowright was pretty good as the mom. She was the mom, and when she yells at him, well, she did a good job there. I really liked that scene.
Yeah.
Well, it's when she comes in and what is it that she sees them? What was it? I forget what it was, but she.
That's when she slapped him and started yelling at him.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
Was he naked or something? It wasn't that he was naked. I forget what it was, but like she got all pissed off about that. All right, so Equus didn't do it for you. It didn't really do it for me either.
No.
Next on the list, Annie Hall.
Okay.
Now, Woody Allen is a canceled celebrity nowadays.
Yes.
So we will discuss this on the level of removing the artist from the art, because this is a good movie. I like this movie a lot. What did you think?
It's funny because I give everything a fair shot, whether I like them or not. I'm not a fan of Woody Allen. I don't think he's funny under normal circumstances. However, watching this movie, I found him to be very funny. And lots of stuff he was saying, you're like, yeah, he's right. Or, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
it was a very relatable movie.
Very relatable.
Relationship-wise, and all the different relationships he deals with. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. I found myself laughing at a lot of this stuff. One of the things I've never really liked about him is I always just find him so whiny. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
he
his
plays
shtick.
the same role.
That's his shtick.
But you know, in just a small sample size, one movie, you know, it worked. It worked for what it was, and it was. I found it to be entertaining. I found him to do a good job acting, but once again, I feel like that's just who he is. I don't feel like he acted.
Yes, it's very much. And that's who he is in like every movie he does.
It'd be like watching Jerry Seinfeld play Seinfeld.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
well,
like,
I mean,
he doesn't really have to act.
Like, did you watch the new one that he did with the Pop-Tarts?
Uh-uh.
Really?
Uh-uh.
Unfrosted on Netflix.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
It's really good and really funny. Well, I don't want to say really good. People yell at me, but like I enjoyed it a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like watching Seinfeld. He's playing the guy that invented the Pop-Tart or whatever. But it is just like watching Seinfeld be Seinfeld. Like watching Arnold Schwarzenegger in every movie is kind of like just watching Arnold Schwarzenegger in every movie. And that's kind of what like Woody Allen is. But this was the big one, right? So it's you just got to find the right lane to direct that acting in and just let it go. And that's kind of what this was. Just like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
But I mean, John Travolta didn't feel like John Travolta in like Pulp Fiction or Face Off. Definitely different performances. Whereas Woody Allen does kind of feel like if you're going to cast Woody Allen, what you're going to get is who he is and how he acts in all of his movies.
Right. Like I feel like you can just switch the female lead and the movie would be almost very similar to another one of his.
Sure. This was one I'd seen before. This was the only one of the group that I'd already seen. And I enjoyed it again. Like I thought maybe watching it this time that it would have less of an impact, and it's like no, it's still exactly what it was the first time I saw it and the second time I saw it as now. And I did think it was funny and well written and witty, and the dramatic stuff, which is in there. It's hidden amongst the comedy, but it's definitely in there. Like even if like because they like don't they come out of their bodies as kind of like spiritual and they talk to each other.
Yeah, and they're watching like the
thinking.
Classroom or the past or whatever.
And like all that weird stuff, right, is the metatextual realism of relationships and life and it was fun, right?
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun watching it. I thought he did a good job being himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wrote the movie. I believe it won Best Picture as well.
Yeah, I felt he did a good job, but like I said, I felt it wasn't a stretch for him. But
Sure.
I enjoyed it. I laughed at some of the stuff. I related to some of the stuff.
Well, he's like, they're going to the movies, right? And the lady's like, oh, it's 4 minutes in. And he's like, well, we can't watch this now.
Yeah.
I missed the 4 minutes. I want to see the whole thing front to back. Let's go see this other movie. And she's like, I don't want to watch a 4-hour documentary about the Holocaust or whatever.
Yeah, some of the arguments, like if you're in a relationship or anything like that and you watch that movie, you could be like,
Right.
that's all realistic.
Not all the relationships were the same. Every
Yeah.
woman had a different kind of personality. And like the big example is when the lobster gets away.
yeah, inside the kitchen and all
they're
the lobsters.
dealing with
Yeah.
it, and he's being funny, and then he like kind of tries to replicate that later with a different woman, and she just doesn't get it.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, okay, not the one."
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've done that in the past where you have a situation that it was such a good memory or such a fun experience, and then you try to recreate that with somebody else, and it misses the mark completely.
I mean, that's chemistry.
Yeah.
Right. And whether we're looking for that in real life or if I'm looking for chemistry between two actors in a scene, you know, that's kind of what we're discussing here.
Yeah.
Is the acting and what it takes. Do you feel like you took any acting? Did you learn anything from watching these movies? As we
Yes.
head into the last one.
Yes. In the last one I did. In the last one I felt like I learned quite a bit.
All right, so Richard Dreyfuss,
Yes.
Goodbye Girl.
Yes.
He won Best Actor.
Yes.
Now, do you feel he was better than the previous 4?
Yes.
Definitely.
Definitely better than 2 of those.
Richard
And-
Burton.
yeah. But like I said, based on Woody Allen being Woody Allen and John Travolta, what I felt like was kind of playing himself. Richard Dreyfuss was playing an actor trying to be an actor.
Now, check this out. Before you get too deep into it. So, Annie Hall, I do believe, won Best Picture that year, right?
Okay.
Woody Allen did not win the acting award. Richard Dreyfuss won it. But Goodbye Girl did not win the Best Picture. And I can see that because Richard Dreyfuss stands out so much in that movie. Movie could be about anything, right? Like, it doesn't even matter, right? It's all about him. Like, fuck what the movie is as a whole.
I disagree.
Really? You like the movie like so much? Like, I think Annie Hall, I could see why Richard Dreyfuss won Best Picture or won Best Actor and why Annie Hall won Best Picture. I really liked Annie Hall as a whole. I liked everything that's going on. I liked the writing. I liked all the different things going on. As far as Goodbye Girl goes, like the story is whatever. But I thought he stood out so much and did such a great job that like I get it. So go ahead.
My opinion, and I'm really going to throw a monkey wrench in it. If I was to take those 5 movies,
Yes.
not just the actors,
Right.
just these 5 movies,
Right.
I would say Saturday Night Fever would have won Best Picture.
You like that one a lot.
Not that I would watch it again,
As a whole.
but I
see.
found that to be the best movie out of those 5 that I watched. However, I felt like Richard Dreyfuss did the best job acting, but I will say this. I also felt that the lead female in that and the child in that did phenomenal jobs acting.
Yes, they also did really good.
And that was the one movie out of the 5 where I enjoyed all the actors and actresses. Like, even Saturday Night Fever, like, not a lot of the characters in there I cared for or felt like they did a good job acting.
They were a lot of scumbags in
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah.
And a lot of shitty people. Even John Travolta was
Yeah,
shitty. Like,
yeah.
the only person who wasn't shitty in that movie was, like,
brother.
his boss. And the brother.
Yeah.
His brother and the boss.
Yeah.
Like, because he tells his boss, he's like, well, fuck you then. I'm fucking leaving.
Yeah.
Take this job. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
But he still gives him
And
the
it's
job
like,
back.
he still gives him the job back, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But I felt that the female lead in Good Girl and the daughter did amazing jobs acting also. So
The kid was really good.
Really good.
That kid was really good.
And yeah, I even liked her better than the female lead. So yes,
Right.
I feel like Richard Dreyfuss did a phenomenal job acting. But the only thing I disagree with is that like he stole the show because I felt like he had a great supporting cast with him on that. Where not anybody really stood out for me in any of the other movies other than the main person mentioned. Mm-hmm. In my opinion. But yeah, and I like how Richard Dreyfuss hit so many different acting aspects in that based on what it was.
Well, I mean, so the movie is he's an actor coming to do a play. Everything okay over there? Does
Yeah, he's looking for a place to lay down.
okay. Right, he comes to New York to do a play, and he kind of gets stuck with this weird situation where the woman's like boyfriend, or were they married?
Boyfriend.
Like, fucking takes off without her, and like it's her apartment, quote unquote, and they make it work. But like he's an actor trying to do a play, and then his director is like, we're gonna make him like gay and weird and everything else, and he's like, I spent months, coming up with the way I wanted to do this character, and he's throwing it all out the window, and it's a mess. And it's anyways, go ahead.
No, that's all. I love the idea of an actor playing a person trying to be an actor.
Yes.
And then based on that, it wasn't just him being a certain role, because it shows him trying out for these other roles where he has to act for those other roles. So for him, he really did like a wide range of different types of acting in that, being angry, being, very feminine, being,
Oh yeah, no, you're right. He does do the range of like
all these different emotions and stuff, because he's trying to play all these different characters to get all these different roles.
Yes.
And then the frustration, and then the loving person when he finally connects with her, and just stuff like that. I've just felt.
And when the little girl gets sick, and
Yeah.
he's like tries to help her feel better.
Yeah.
And, when he shows up and he's playing the guitar and shit, and she's like, "Are you decent?" He's like, "Yes." And she comes in and he's naked playing the guitar, and he's like, "No, I'm decent. I happen to be naked, and if you shut up and go to bed, we'll all be asleep in 5 minutes."
Yeah, yeah. And I there's a lot of funny parts too, like where he meets like the young, good-looking girl in the cast, and he brings her home.
Yes, yes.
And stuff like that, and that causes a conflict there.
Yeah, but he was like, "Well, what do you think your daughter was thinking when you were in the other room with, my buddy who fucking left you?" And it's like, he kind of has a point.
Yeah, 100%. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, once again, it wouldn't be a movie I would just normally toss on and be like, I'm gonna watch it again. But I felt like everybody in the movie did a really good job acting, and I felt like what I was looking at the movies for, watching their acting and stuff like that, I felt like nobody else, even in the group, compared even close to him or hit the wide range of acting skills that he demonstrated during that movie.
It was really, really good, and it was really, really fun. And that was a movie I'd wanted to watch for a while, and I finally got to see it. And it was another one I was thinking that maybe I wasn't gonna like it as much, or I'm probably not gonna like him, right? I'm probably gonna think there was probably a better person. But no, I think he absolutely deserved the Best Actor award for that one, more so than like Woody Allen or John Travolta. And like, Richard Burton does go way over the top and put like a lot into that, but almost too much to where there's no room to breathe, like I said earlier. But he did do like Richard Dreyfuss 100%.
I would put it as Richard Dreyfuss first, John Travolta second, Woody Allen third,
Marcello
fourth, and
Richard Burton last. Yeah, I think so. I think I can get behind that. Maybe swap Travolta and Woody for me.
Yeah, and they're interchangeable for me. I think
Both New York movies,
Yeah.
both New York guys, both playing
very similar to
like
who they are.
Yeah, a nebbish and neurotic Jewish guy,
Yeah.
or like full of himself Italian dude.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So yeah, I can get behind that same.
but yeah, that was my watching it. That's what my ranking was. But then I was also thinking, like, if those were like the top 5 movies, what would I have picked? And it would have been Goodbye Girl based on the daughter's phenomenal acting, and the lead female did a good job too. Not as good as the daughter, not as good as Richard Dreyfuss, but
She held
they
her
didn't
own.
have to
She held
carry
her
her.
own. Right. She
Yeah.
held her own for
Yeah.
kind of like almost an a thankless role.
Mm-hmm.
When it was definitely all about him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at Best Picture here. Annie Hall did win. Goodbye Girl was nominated. Star Wars was nominated for Best Picture. A couple other movies that we didn't watch. Best Director was Woody Allen. He won for Annie Hall, which I'm fine with. I know maybe not you. Spielberg was nominated for Close Encounters. George Lucas was nominated for Star Wars. And the other 2 Best Picture nominees in there. Best Actress Diane Keaton won for Annie Hall. That was the main female in Annie
Yeah.
Hall. She played Annie Hall. Let's see. Marsha Mason in The Goodbye Girl, the lead female in that. She was nominated but didn't win. Annie Hall won. Alec Guinness. Alec Guinness was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Star Wars.
Who is he?
Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Obi-Wan. Interesting. He's barely in that movie. I know he's in a lot of it, but like he's also feels like he barely does anything. But they give him a nomination.
I would have picked Star Wars as the best movie.
You would.
Well, I'm not like no offense to anybody out there. I'm not like a Star Wars geek or a Star Trek geek or anything like that. I'm not any of that.
Well, check this out.
It's a very unique movie.
It is a unique movie. But I mean, also like Spielberg was nominated for Best Director. Close Encounters. Close Encounters wasn't nominated for Best Picture, right?
And Close Encounters was another good movie.
And those are kind of the 2 sides of the coin. Like where Star Wars is out in space, actiony, sci-fi. Close Encounters is kind of a very personal sci-fi, more dramatic side. But why was that not nominated for Best Picture?
I don't know. It's interesting. Like it makes you wonder if some of the stuff, or at least makes me wonder if some of the stuff is like bought and paid for.
Well, they do campaign, right? And who's to say where money is switching hands? I don't want to make the assumption that it is, but on the very level of campaigning to win awards or get nominated and then win is definitely something that is done in Hollywood.
Yeah. One of the seminars I'm taking, we talked about the end-all be-all list to study for actors or actresses, or if you want to get in the movie business in any way. It's the AFI Top 100 for the last 100 years. The American Film Institute's list of what they feel are the top 100 movies in the last century. And so you watch some of those movies, and I'm trying to go down the list from number 1 all the way through 100. Mm-hmm. But some of them I'm just like, this was absolute crap. Mm-hmm. So then I talked to one of the instructors. I'm like, how did this even? And they go, well, for the time, nothing was ever done like this before. It was never filmed like this before. It was never. So I totally get that. So that's what would make me think like the Star Wars during, like
Star Wars did
know.
change the world.
Yeah.
The filmmaking business. 100%
So that's why I would say they would have been in my discussion for top film during that year. Mm-hmm. But because they brought something new.
But the
and
acting
exciting.
wasn't like fantastic.
No,
they did a fine job. They weren't like it didn't suck necessarily.
Nobody stood
in anything.
out really.
Right, which
I loved
is why
Han Solo's character, but once again, it was a supporting role, supporting character.
Right. Well, and Darth Vader was certainly cool, and James Earl Jones did a great job with the voicing and making him menacing and scary. Right. Like it's a good thing to watch and look at and have fun with, but like when the voters sit down, they're looking at everything, and you're hoping that the best picture really does win, or the director or the actor or whatever, and sometimes it's not like this definitely was the best movie ever made for that year, right? Very rarely is it like that. But sometimes that was the best thing for the time and the moment for the majority, like for levels, right? Like the acting was really good, and this was kind of really good. And so like the story was kind of really good. So this was kind of like the best out of the bunch, out of everything, right? Like not to say that the losers weren't that good, because really it's like 5 winners, right? And they just happened to be like this one edged the other one out.
So what would you say, not those 5, but in general, one movie that's your absolute favorite?
And that's like an impossible question to answer, because it's a lot about mood, right? There is one movie that I do like to watch as like my my go-to feel-good movie if I'm like kind of down, or like I don't know what to watch, or just want to throw something on. I like to put on Predator. Now, I don't think Predator is the greatest movie ever made, right? Because there are definitely a lot of movies that I think are fantastic, way better than Predator. But Predator is kind of the movie that makes me feel good.
So you feel like one of your favorite movies depends on your mood at the time?
No, that's kind of a separate question. I know I did start out leading in with that, but I think Predator is my best answer for kind of what you're looking for and what people look for. But also when people ask that question, it's kind of like you're asking me to tell you what I think you should watch as something that you think is going to be cool and awesome.
Oh, no. No, I'm thinking like...
Well, not you right now, but like when people do, like when you say, oh, like I love watching movies and such, they'll ask you what your favorite movie is. And it be kind of, it's more of a subtext of not them wanting to know exactly what your favorite movie is, but it's a conversation starter, because it's the hardest question, because maybe I love horror movies.
See, it wouldn't be hard for me at all. Like, and it wouldn't depend on my mood.
All right, well, so what's your answer to the question?
Braveheart.
Movie I've never watched, and it looks like I probably wouldn't like it when I watch it, right? But I might, because that movie won Best Picture, right, when it came out, and they say it's good. So maybe
there's a lot of people that don't like it, and there's a lot of people that do, and there's a lot of parts that are factual, and lots of parts are Hollywood that are not factual. But if somebody told me, Paul, you can only watch one movie.
Right. Now that's a better question. What is the one? So now, what is your favorite movie, right? Because maybe today Predator isn't my favorite movie, right? So I do have separate answers. So like my intellectual answer to that question, I would say The Night of the Hunter, right?
Night of the Hunter. Why does that sound familiar?
I don't know. Maybe because we've talked about it before.
Okay.
But it's a movie that I like, right? With an actor that I really, really like, and somebody I looked up to as I was growing into watching movies and it being a thing for me in my life. Robert Mitchum was my guy in high school through to now. Not the greatest actor in the world, but he did do a thing that was kind of different than everyone else, right? He said he didn't really like doing acting. It was just a job for him, yada, yada, yada. But really, when you talk to the people around him and worked with him, they're like, oh, no, he put his all into what he did. Even if he kind of does seem like he sleepwalks through movies, he really loved doing it and loved making movies, and it was his thing. But The Night of the Hunter is like my be-all movie snob kind of answer. And like when I was in high school, like I got really into the movie Sin City, which is kind of like where I was in my life, like a parallel to when I was like, because I like crime movies. If you think about it, crime movies is like my genre, right? Savage is kind of like a crime movie.
Right.
If Tomorrow Never Comes is like a crime movie. A lot of the movies that I've written and haven't made, they're crime movies, right? A lot of the movies that I love to go see and watch are crime movies, like these like You know, not like true crime, but like cops and robbers, guns and shit, heist, you know, things like that going on. Those are like my go-to movies. And Sin City, when that came out, like was kind of like a modern version of like the old film noir black and white crime movies that I was watching and really super into. So like Sin City was like my favorite movie at the time, right? And not so much now, right? Like I wouldn't, like if somebody asked me, I would never say Sin City because it would sound kind of lame. Doesn't mean I don't like that movie anymore, but it would sound kind of cheesy and stupid. Did you ever watch Sin City? And it was a movie that like me and all my friends, we dressed up like the characters and went and watched it when it came out, and I watched it like every day that weekend and took other people who'd never seen it. Let's go watch Sin City. It was big and I loved it, and I got all the comics and read all those and just like fell into a real big rabbit hole for that. Having said that, I probably haven't watched it in forever, right? I haven't watched Night of the Hunter in forever, but like it's a movie that I absolutely love, and that's my kind of snobby film guy favorite movie. If you were to ask me, is it my desert island movie? I don't know, right? Because I've seen so many movies, and a lot of them are really, really, really good. Like, and some of them I do think are perfect, right? And right now, like Deadpool and Wolverine, right? We just watched it and I loved it. Thought it was fantastic. I'd probably take that to the desert island today, right? If I was on a desert island. But would I get over it? How long would it take before I'm over it? So what's the movie that I would take that I wouldn't get over, right? And you're saying Braveheart.
Yeah, Braveheart for me, since it's come out, has been my all-time favorite. And yeah, that'd be my one movie, regardless of my mood. I may not watch it based on my mood. Like I may want to watch like a feel-good story or.
Well, let's say like you have
something.
5, right? You're gonna want like maybe a horror movie, a comedy, a drama, an action.
But if I had to pick just one, it's always, since it's come out, been Braveheart. And if you ever actually decide to sit down and give it a go.
I probably will now.
Yeah, if you do. Regardless of what your personal feelings are of Mel Gibson.
I love Mel Gibson. Yeah. It sucks that he kind of like did a thing, but he didn't do such a thing so bad that he's like super canceled, because he's not. Right. Because he's got a movie coming out. Yeah. I think in like a month or so.
He has several actually, but yeah.
Well, he's got a movie that he directed coming out.
The Mark Wahlberg movie. Smart for how he did some of the stuff in this. And I have been a fan of that movie forever, and I think it's the first movie that's actually ever made me cry.
I cried every movie it did. So.
I can't think of a lot that I have, but that one, that and Glory.
Well, see, the thing for me is, so Braveheart comes out, right, and I was probably like 10 or something. And then when I was like a teenager in high school, like Gladiator was a movie that I watched because it was at a time where things were a little bit more accessible. I got my first DVD player. First DVD we got, because it was out, was Gladiator and Hollow Man. Right. And so I don't know how Gladiator compares to Braveheart. I know that completely different parts of the country and times of the the universe or whatever. But since Braveheart has come out, there have been plenty of like giant action period epics. Right. And I don't know that they're better or worse than Braveheart. And this was the thing I was thinking about. So never having watched Saturday Night Fever, watched it now, I'm like, this is a lot like the movie Silver Linings Playbook, which is something I did watch. And it was more modern. So going back and watching some of those blind spots, you see where it can lose some of that shine because other movies have come along and kind of ape it a little bit. Like they do their own thing, but it's just a play on those same things. So that's my worry, is that Braveheart's going to be kind of like this bloated, like 2.5, 3 hour epic, however long it is. Right. And it'll be like, oh, well, I kind of seen a sword and sorcery epic period piece war movie. Right.
And it could.
And I'll give it its fair shot.
Yeah, it totally could for you. I don't know. like I said, I know for me, it hit a spot and it's held on to that spot forever. And then when I went to Scotland and Ireland earlier this year, because I did that 7-week trip throughout Europe backpacking, I visited Sir William Wallace's castle. I visited lots of real battle locations and stuff like that. And this is a movie I knew a lot about and the real history about it. Like I said, there's some people that are so factual based. Like, I hate Braveheart because it didn't have this or this. I'm not that way.
And I wouldn't go into. I have no expectations going into this movie.
I keep an open mind, and as we discussed, in real life, doesn't always translate to movies. But what I found genius that Mel Gibson did, when you see the fight scenes between the British or England and Scotland and the Irish and stuff like that. The fight scenes are brutal. They are filmed so brutal and they look so realistic.
Right.
I found out why. They are realistic. Mel Gibson talked to the Irish and Scottish government. Irish and Scottish government, all those, not the main actors, but all the soldiers on each side were military for Irish and Scotland. They were their actual military. And the government made them part of this movie as a deal with Mel Gibson. And in order to make it more realistic, Mel Gibson made all the bosses, commanders, sergeants, lieutenants, whatever, on the English side, and all the grunts on the Scottish-Irish side.
Oh, okay.
And he said, I want you guys to go at it as if it's a real fight. Well, you have, the grunt on the Irish side be like, well, that fucking guy, but my boss has been a prick to me for the last year.
Right.
Here's my chance. So when they say action, they went, and it was real fighting. It was real fighting to the point where after the movie was done, the Scottish and Irish military filed lawsuits against the government out there to pay for the teeth knocked out, the orbital fractures they suffered, the broken arms and broken bones that they suffered filming the movie.
Okay.
But that's why the fight scenes, if you watch it, when you will watch the fight scenes and stuff, they look brutal. And it's because a lot of the stuff that was filmed was not fake. A lot of people getting hit in the face with a metal helmet were legitimately getting hit in the face with a metal helmet. So it was a very clever idea. I would have never thought of that.
Sure.
And he didn't have to pay the repercussions. He didn't have to pay the repercussions.
Sure.
The government did.
Sure.
Because they mandated that they all participate in the movie.
Right.
But yeah, it was like a major lawsuit. And the military filed this lawsuit against the Scottish and Irish government. And they had to pay all the employees and pay for all their medical bills and everything else like that. So it was very kind of cool when you see it that way or think about it that way. I never knew that. I learned all that stuff when I was out there.
Gotcha.
So, but
well,
yeah,
that's good.
It's kind of cool to see and hear. But
did I answer your question properly?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think that would be your one then. I would say that
Predator?
would be no, the Night
of the Hunter.
Night and the Hunter.
But I don't know that would be the one I want to take on a desert island.
I think that would be different.
Yeah.
The reason being is, okay, Braveheart, like I said, is my all-time favorite movie. But there's romance in it, there's slow parts in it, there's sad parts in it, there's a couple of comical parts in it, and lots of action parts. But it's not one of those movies you can just toss on, have in the background, and feel good.
Right.
Predator, I think, is a great movie like that. Movies like
what movie I think is like Drive. I think is a perfect movie. Did you ever watch Drive?
Mason, my oldest son, that's his favorite movie.
It's perfect.
Yeah, he loves it.
It's fucking perfect.
I watched it. I found it entertaining.
A lot of people don't like that he doesn't really talk.
I don't mind it.
Okay,
I don't mind
That's good.
But yeah, there's certain movies
but
like you can just
when
toss
I'm talking
on.
about like crime movies that I like, that hits everything. Perfect.
Yeah. Braveheart would not be a movie I'd watch every single day, but if I had to pick only one movie to watch, that would be my only one movie to watch.
Okay, so if you had to watch one movie every single day. I know, and that's the thing is like, how could I remember every movie that I watched and like, because I do watch a lot of movies.
I would pick something goofy and fun. if I had to watch something every single day.
Well, I listen to. So what I do is I got a lot of time at work, right? So I listen to this podcast, Blank Check Podcast, and they'll do director runs. So they will pick a director, and they'll watch the movies, and then they will discuss the movie, one movie per episode. And I've been listening to them for like over 400 episodes. So I watch movies like a lot. And I'm watching all these movies and I listen to them. So I do watch a lot of movies, and sometimes I'm, watching stuff for the first time. And sometimes I'm watching them for the millionth time. And I am reappreciating certain things based on watching it again, based on after hearing the discussion about them. But I am having a lot of fun kind of watching movies and listening to these podcasts and kind of being part of the conversation, even if it's just listening to it. And they do discuss acting and the process of making the movie and everything else like that. And I think it's part of my continuing education as a filmmaker and kind of adding new tools to my toolbox of directing and writing. And that's why I feel like all actors, and I'm not the only person in the world to say this, a lot of filmmakers and directors and writers and actors, they all say study everything that came before you because it's probably already been done, and you don't want to look like an idiot when you do the same thing and come to find out that it's already been done, right? Yeah. So, like, look at a thing, figure it out, and use it to your advantage and not be like someone that's just copying or stealing, which, I mean, isn't the worst thing ever, but, like, comedians don't do other comedians' bits, right? Because that's, like, a big no-no. And you don't want to accidentally do something and it be some big old faux pas. Yeah. But, learn from it and learn with it and use it. So, yeah. So that's why we did this, and that's why we're doing. Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah. I was thinking... it's your podcast, so you come up with ideas. But I was thinking, like, it'd be kind of cool if we discussed, like different types of movies later on. So, like, if we were to do another one of these, your 5 favorite 80s movies and my 5 favorite 80s movies. Sure. And we kind of discuss and why they like, or your 5 favorite war movies, my 5, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Now, would we have to... We'd watch these movies prior to. So, like, if you name 5 movies and I've only seen, like, 2 of them or something, but I'd watch all 5 of them anyway.
Yeah. But, like, if you, let's say we decided, I don't know, fucking comedies. Let's just say top 5 comedies. And I come up with my 5, you come up with your 5. We share them before the podcast, and then we watch them. And then we discuss overall 10. Unless there's some saying.
That sounds like that could be a lot of fun.
I hear a but in it.
No. There's no but. There's no but at all. I don't think it's more of a but in there. It's more of, like, my mind going to, like, what can I have Paul watch?
Huh? But it'd have to be whatever it is. It'd have to be one of your favorites.
But see, the thing is I could list. Let's say that there's 100 movies that I consider in my top 5. You know what I mean? Like a top 5 list. It would be. I'm trying to shove like 100 movies in there.
It would be the 5. It would be 5 that your listeners or friends would be like, Matt, I want to watch a really good comedy. What would be some suggestions that you give me for a really? It would be something like
Go watch Pink Flamingos.
Whatever it is.
Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I thought you were making that up.
No, that's the movie by which I judge the people I'm going to be friends with.
No, yeah. I do it based on Blazing Saddles.
Sure, that's
if
a great
Blazing
movie.
Saddles offends you, then we can't be friends.
Oh man, no. Pink Flamingos is like, can this person hang or can they not hang? Because that movie... That'll test your patience.
Well, yeah. Well,
it's almost not even like watching.
If you're interested, like I said, I'm totally down. And for one podcast, you pick the category, or I pick the category, and then the next podcast, the other person picks a category.
Yeah, let's look at next month or something.
Okay,
we'll do. Down. So what do we? How about we do this?
Okay.
All right, we'll do this on air.
Okay.
I used to have a thing here. I don't think I have it anymore. I had a randomizer. Let me see, is it on here? I had a wheel. I don't have the wheel anymore. But like I could have put all the genres in there. So you go ahead and pick. I picked this one, right?
Okay. How about
And it'll give us some time to figure out a list, and then once we got the list put together, it'll
Yeah.
give us some time to watch 10 movies.
Yeah.
Because I basically am always watching stuff. So
Yeah, I watch movies all the time too. That's
I try to do
my
like
life.
3 a day for the
I don't-
podcast.
right.
Because I'm listening to maybe like 4 or 5. They're long episodes.
Yeah.
So if I'm at work for 8 hours, I maybe get 4 in. 2, 4, so yeah. So I'm trying to constantly keep ahead of the podcast because they're backlogged. So once I catch up to a current episode, I won't be like doing as many movies furiously anymore, and I'm getting close. So I'll have more time. But yeah, absolutely. So what are you thinking?
How about
Actor, genre, director, actress, some weird, strange thing. Black and white, color, musical.
your top 5 mafia movies?
Mafia movies. Now, how do you know we're not going to come up with the same list?
It could be the same.
Right? Because automatically it's like Godfather.
Godfather would be in there for me.
See, that's a thing. I think that Godfather 2 is perfect. I think that's a perfect fucking movie.
I don't know if I would put that on my list. I'm not sure.
I think it's perfect. I don't want to get too deep into it if we're going to do this. Yeah. So I don't want to start a whole new discussion.
Do you want to do that mafia movie? You
want
to pick a different one?
Let me do some research and see if I've even seen 5 mafia movies.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find a list of whatever, and see if I feel like I've got 5 movies that I can discuss. Then yeah, let's do it.
And if not, then we'll pick a different one.
We can swerve a little bit just in case.
Yeah. We can even turn it into organized crime movies.
Mafia / whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about Godfather 3?
Hated it.
I love it.
Hated it.
I think this is the thing, and I've probably said it on the podcast before. I think with time, movies get better. And my big example is Marvel movies. I saw Iron Man, right? When Iron Man 2 came out, I was not as into Iron Man 2. Since then, I love Iron Man 2, right? So for me, like, Robert Downey Jr. is done, right? He's not going to be Iron Man again. Well, it's a good thing that I've got 3 Iron Man movies, 4 Avengers movies. There's a Spider-Man that I can watch him in. There's a Cap that I could watch him in.
See, I feel like movies
I
don't get better.
With this, maybe not. And I'm not saying this is for everything, but I feel that the expectation of what's coming next
should be better.
No, it builds up too much that all you can do is be let down. I understand the problems with Iron Man 2, but I love living in the moment with those characters. And I think Sam Rockwell is fantastic as Justin Hammer. I could watch Sam Rockwell in fucking anything. I can watch him read the phone book. You know what I mean? I think he's great. But I love being able to be I'm still living in the world, right? I could sit down and I can watch 5, Iron Man in movies. And maybe Iron Man 2 isn't the best one, but it's not as bad as my expectations made it be after watching it. That was not, now I can be I feel like an Iron Man 2 today, right?
Interesting.
I can see you don't like that.
No, I don't dislike it. I can't think of any examples for me where I would relate to that.
There was a year when the new James Bond came out, the new Mission Impossible came out, maybe there's a Marvel movie in there, maybe something else, and I'm like, God, all these movies, I hated all of them this year. But now it's no, that's more Daniel Craig that I have, and that's more Tom Cruise that I have. That fucking the Mission Impossible one with Henry Cavill in it. Mm-hmm. I think that's the best one. I love that fucking movie. I think it's fucking fantastic. I used to think Ghost Protocol was the best one. I think that one's the best one when he's hanging off that big ball of rocks underneath the helicopter. That shit is so fucking good,
What was
dude.
the one with like the sand and in the middle of?
That was the last one.
Was it?
Dead Reckoning Part 1.
No, I'm sorry. Where it's like a big building, like one of the world's tallest glass buildings.
That was Ghost Protocol. There's
Was that
sand in
Ghost-
that one too, where the
Yeah,
big wall
yeah,
sand,
that's the one I
and
was
he's on the
thinking
side
of.
of the building.
Yeah, I forgot about the sand in this last
But
one.
that one's really, really good. That was like, that one blew my mind when I watched it. But like, I love like the one with Henry Cavill. Like, I think it's a much bigger movie than Ghost Protocol was for a series of fucking huge movies, right? And I think like Mission Impossible 2 is like one of the worst movies ever fucking made.
Yeah. Huh.
So
Interesting.
like, I do have a weird up and down where I like give everything a chance, love everything, but then there are certain exceptions where it's like, I hate this movie. The Mission Impossible 2, I hate that movie.
Interesting.
Anyways, we can wrap this up so I can head home.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing another episode.
Yeah, that was fun.
And we'll figure out when or if and whatever we can film next, whether it's the beach world or whatever, and I'll work on editing that footage for you
Oh, cool. Yeah.
as soon as I can. I'll get it to you at least by the latest tomorrow night.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Because I got to film again tomorrow. I'm filming something else tomorrow.
Nice.
So just trying to
you.
stay busy and stay
Yeah.
relevant before people forget about me and move on to these younger, more handsome and talented directors. Thank you for, that's this week's episode of Single Podcast. I'm Matt Bonta.
Paul Sifre.
Peace out, bitches.
See ya.